Hey everyone, and welcome back to the newest video of Digital Film Dojo. Today, we're going to step back and focus on a number of different tips that will help you out if you're just stepping into the world of filmmaking and video production. Now there's a lot of lists like this, focusing on all different types of tips for beginner filmmakers. And I've seen a lot of them, and a lot of them have some really good advice. In fact, I used a lot of them when I started filmmaking. But today, we're going to go over a few things that you might not always see on your typical top 10 filmmaking list. These are mostly tips that I initially didn't really think about when I started filmmaking, but eventually I discovered to be really helpful. So with that in mind, let's dive in. My name's Brian, and I'll be your sensei for today. So tip number one, it's kind of an odd tip. Learn to film by yourself. Productions always work best when you have a large crew and you have a lot of positions on set doing a lot of different things. But when you're just starting out and you're working with low budgets, you might not always be able to have a lot of crew members on your set. If you're in film school, you might actually be able to get more crew members on set just because of the way it's set up. But I would say, don't let that be your only production experience. Shooting by yourself or with a smaller crew of people will allow you to become more comfortable performing multiple crew positions at once, and you'll get more of an understanding of crew positions that you wouldn't normally be doing. The best part about this, it'll prepare you for situations where you'll find yourself short on crew for various different reasons. But even though you're short on crew, you'll be able to still make your shoots work and you won't have to reschedule them. Also, learning to shoot by yourself can help you prepare for entry-level jobs and allow you to pursue more freelance work. A lot of companies might ask you to film solo because they might not have the time or the budget for a large crew for their video. So tip number two, another odd one. Learn to shoot without a script. So this one might not seem to make much sense, but improvising is actually a really good skill to learn in filmmaking. And I'm not just talking about acting, I'm talking about behind the camera as well. Shoot a couple projects with your friends without a script. The results actually might be pretty fun. You actually might be surprised with some of your results. Of course, it's always important to do a lot of pre-production for your film. And scripts, storyboards, and shot lists are always very vital. But there'll be times because of certain factors, such as time, weather, scheduling, etc., where you'll have to think on your feet and improvise your script or shot selection. While you shouldn't jump into every large project without a script, doing so on a few smaller projects might actually help you learn to think on your feet if these situations were to arise. And honestly, it can be a really fun exercise and can produce some really interesting results. So third tip, challenge yourself to do something new for each video or film that you make. This is one of my big ones, and it's something that I do with every project that I make. Filmmaking is all about growing and perfecting your skills, and you want to do this with every project that you work on. And this is also how you discover what aspects of video production that you like the most. Whether it's a new effect, a new camera movement, a new story element, you should always try to incorporate something that you haven't tried before into your projects. Taking on this challenge will force you to learn new techniques and encourage you to put extra effort into your project to make it work. You'll also have something new to show off in your demo reel. You don't want all your projects to look the same. Come on, that's pretty lame. Maybe even step out of your comfort zone and try a new genre, or work with a new client in a different industry than you're used to. The more you diversify your skills, the more opportunities you're going to find on your way. Now tip number four, start with projects with minimal lighting or sound needed for them. When it comes to video projects, the quality of video footage in this day and age can be a bit more forgiving than it was in the past. It's also easier than ever to shoot on 4K and HD formats. But no matter what level you're at, bad lighting and bad sound can potentially ruin your project to some people. Now, one of the biggest challenges for a beginning filmmaker is getting good sound and good lighting on your set. It can be a bit difficult at first. For one, it's costly and can be pretty time consuming, especially when you're in a small crew or working by yourself. Also, it can be pretty overwhelming at first, especially if you're still getting used to using your camera or directing actors on set. While every video project requires some type of camera, not every project needs sound or lighting. There are tons of different projects that you can shoot without a microphone or a light. Shooting outside eliminates your need for lights, and shooting without any dialogue eliminates your need for a microphone. Shooting without dialogue can be a challenge at first, but it's a good skill to have and can produce some inspiring results if you really put your mind to it. The best part about shooting this way is if you do a good job with your directing, cinematography, and editing, people will surely be impressed by it. While if they see the same type of video with bad lighting and bad sound, they may be put off by it a little bit. So if you're just starting out, really focus on mastering your camera work, editing, and your visual storytelling. first, and then gradually start introducing more sound and lighting into your projects as you get more comfortable. Tip number 5, let all different types of people watch your projects. Don't keep them to yourself. There are 3 types of people that you want watching your projects: filmmakers, friends and family, and complete strangers. Feedback is extremely important in our industry. It helps us grow as filmmakers and helps us correct our mistakes. It's pretty obvious why you should show your film to other filmmakers. They're the ones that are going to give you the most specific constructive criticism and praise. Since they're familiar with filmmaking, they'll be able to sit down and dissect your film from start to finish, and be able to tell you what specific areas you did well on and what specific areas you need more work on. They'll also be able to share with you some valuable advice that you'll be able to use for some of your future projects. You should also show your projects to friends and family, but keep in mind you're most likely going to get a different reaction to them as you would from the filmmakers that you show your film to, especially if your friends and family are not filmmakers themselves. In most cases, your friends and family will be very impressed with the work that you're doing, no matter what level of filmmaking that you're at. Filmmaking is a really cool craft, and even though you might not feel that what you did is very impressive, to another person, it may seem really impressive. It's also really fun to get a nice reaction for something that you put a lot of work into. It also gets your friends and family interested in the work that you're doing. But most important of all, do not just show your work to your friends and family. Be sure to show it to complete strangers as well. Strangers will give you the most genuine reaction to your film. They have no influence to judge your film positively because they don't know you personally. And in reality, most films are actually viewed with this type of audience. It's important to know how your film is viewed by everyday people. Getting feedback from strangers can be a bit frustrating and tough sometimes, but sometimes it can be very rewarding. But overall, the reactions from strangers are going to be the most honest reactions of them all. Tip number 6, don't just make films. Explore other types of video projects as well. You may really want to make comedy films, or you may really want to make dramas. But it's good, especially when you're starting out, to really branch out and explore all different types of video projects you can do, especially video projects besides narrative films. Different types of video projects will help reinforce different types of skills that you'll have. Doing different types of video projects will also help you get more work opportunities and help get your name out there in public as a filmmaker. Different types of projects you could work on include music videos, highlight videos, weddings, commercial work, documentaries, and many, many more. One of the biggest things that helped me learn a lot about video editing when I was younger was doing highlight videos. These are really easy to make, especially when you're first starting out. Basically what I did is I started bringing my camera to events that I went to, whether it was for karate, or for school, or for any other activities I was involved with. I would film a whole bunch of footage from these events and edit it together to a highlight video put to music. And then I would share it with everyone who went to the event. I learned a lot about camera work and editing while doing these projects, and I made a lot of people happy in the process. In a future video, I'll go a bit more into detail into the other types of videos that I mentioned, including music videos, wedding videos, documentaries, and more. Some of it may not be as alluring and spectacular as filmmaking, but you'll learn a lot of different skills, and maybe even make some extra money doing so. Try everything and see what you like the best. You might actually be surprised. Number 7, films take a lot longer than you think to make. Trust me, they do. When planning for a shoot, think about how long the filming will take for the day. Good. Now add an extra hour, or maybe even 2. One of the biggest struggles that I had as a beginning filmmaker was really understanding how long it took to film things and get projects done. No matter how carefully you plan your schedule, about 95% of the time something will occur that will cause some type of delay in your schedule. It's just inevitable. It happens to everybody. An actor might be stuck in traffic, there might be an equipment malfunction, the weather might not be cooperating. Unfortunately, there's just an endless amount of factors that can delay your schedule. So it's really good to build in that safety net, because most of the time, you're gonna need it. And even somehow if everything goes perfectly and you end up finishing an hour later, and even somehow if you build in that extra time and everything goes perfectly and you finish an hour early, that's so much better than finishing an hour late. As much as people may say, oh, it's no problem, yeah, it's cool, it's okay, I understand, nobody likes to go overtime on a shoot, and it can ultimately be detrimental to crew morale. It might cause some actors and crew to be less inclined to work with you in the future. It can be a bit tricky to judge how much time you'll need, but you'll get more and more used to it as time goes on. Tip number 8, get to know your gear as best you can. Every filmmaker will tell you that story is the most important. And yes, That's true. However, I'm a firm believer that filmmaking is more than just telling stories. We have so many different tools available to us nowadays to really make some fantastic productions. And the more you learn about this gear and technology, the better you're going to be at bringing those stories to the next level. Really get to know the ins and outs of your camera. Treat it like your baby. Really dig into your editing software and find new ways to do new things. Really experiment with your footage. You'll never know when you come across something really cool that you didn't expect to happen. Spend your free time watching lots of tutorials just like this one. Look up editing techniques and try them yourself. Look up all different types of cameras and how they compare to each other. The more knowledge you take in, the more you'll be able to translate it into the projects that you're doing. There's also so many different little things that you can do with your film gear to get that highly desired film look. And while many of them aren't always necessary, things like the color correction, frame rate, shutter speed, and aperture can really help enhance your work no matter what kind of story you're telling. Tip number 9, and this is a really important one. Don't take criticism too personally, especially from strangers. People are mean and people are stupid. If you share your video online, it's most likely you're going to get some very hateful comments. And it's most likely there are going to be some people that just don't get your video. Every film that's ever been made has haters out there, and has some people that just didn't get it. Even if it's the most obvious concept. No matter how anyone responds to your film, the most important thing is to not take it personally. You need to have thick skin to make it in this business, and that can sometimes be pretty tough, especially if you're just starting out. Trust me, I've been there. I've received tons of negative and hateful comments on some of my earlier film projects, and I still receive some today. I've even had people tell me to my face that I suck at making videos and that I should quit. It's really just a part of any type of creative field, at any level. Just no matter what happens or what anyone says, don't give up. Sometimes you might make a bad project, but it's not the end of the world. Also, don't spend hours responding to these negative comments trying to explain yourself. People get put off by filmmakers that can't take that type of criticism. And what may seem like a mistake to someone might actually be a good thing in the eyes of someone else. It's always good to be strong and look at your work objectively. We need to take pride in our work, but we can't let that pride get in the way of us seeing what we have to improve on in the future. Finally, tip number 10, don't be afraid to express yourself. Filmmaking is all about expressing yourself. It's an opportunity to explore your interest and create something the world has never seen before. The best thing about the world today is because of the internet, there's an audience for any type of topic you can make a video on, no matter how weird or obscure it might be. While some of your peers might not understand your film, there will be someone out there that does. Film is just the perfect medium to be able to express our ideas and thoughts. And there's just endless ways to do so. Don't be afraid to express those ideas. Films that express who you are some of the most powerful films you will ever make, because you'll be more inclined to put your heart and soul into the film that you're working on. So I know a lot was covered in this list, and luckily, in future videos, I'll be going over some of these specific topics a little bit more into detail. And again, this is my personal list of filmmaking tips that I wanted to share with beginning filmmakers. It doesn't mean these are any more important to any other tips you're going to find out there. I hope you found something useful in this video that you can carry with you into your filmmaking career. And I hope you guys feel more inspired to take on new projects in the future. As always, feel free to comment down below with any questions that you might have, and I'll do my best to try to answer them quickly. And let me know about other topics that you want me to cover in the future. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already, so you can catch a new filmmaking tip, trick, or tutorial each week. I hope you guys have a nice weekend, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye everyone.